Hi, this is Renina Mentor of Sunshine Living, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to psychoanalyze everything, and I'm starting with the narcissist. So, narcissists and people talking about narcissists and ending up in relationships with narcissists and what narcissists are doing and why they do it and all the things are pretty much trending constantly lately, right? And so I want to talk about the narcissist from a psychological, mental health, and learning perspective. I'm hoping that we can look at the narcissist from a critical thinking perspective so that maybe we can learn something from the narcissistic personality person, right? So I took notes as I often do, and bear with me as I reference my notes from time to time. So, narcissistic personality disorder is an actual diagnosis, right? I am a licensed therapist. You may or may not know that, but I'm a licensed therapist, psychotherapist, mental health therapist, and it is a real thing, right? So, narcissistic personality disorder is a disorder. People are diagnosed with it, right? But even though I'm a therapist, I am not going to come from a place of trying to diagnose anyone, right? I'm not going to tell you how you can diagnose a narcissist. I know there are plenty of videos about that, but I don't want to do that. So, because my channel is about education and learning and self awareness, I want us to just look at it from a perspective of what we can learn. And so, first of all, we must know that the narcissistic person, first of all, before we start with number one, I am not going to even reference the narcissistic personality disorder in this video in that way. We're going to talk about traits because no one online that I've seen so far is really truly able to or supposed to be diagnosing anyone with narcissistic personality disorder. If you're not a therapist and this person isn't sitting in your office and they don't go through a thorough assessment, then we really shouldn't be diagnosing anyone. But what we can do is we can look at the traits and the ways in which people show up and what we can learn from that, right? And so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to reference it as narcissistic traits, okay? So number one, narcissistic traits, selfish traits, right? These traits that that many people are talking about online are a function of trauma. And I know that you might have clicked on this video expecting me to talk about how horrible the narcissist is or how horrible narcissistic personality disorder is. And although people with narcissistic traits are hurtful, can be manipulative, can be selfish, are coming from a place of trying to use people or get what they can from people or get their needs met from their relationships in a way that is typically dysfunctional. I want us to understand, though, from a place of compassion, that if a person is at a point in their lives where they are narcissistic or displaying narcissistic and hurtful traits, that it typically comes from a place of trauma. In this country, we are often trying to figure out why are people so evil and so bad. And I am a strong believer that even the most evil traits typically come from somewhere, right? That, there's some people that feel like, oh, people are just born that way. And I'm sure that there is a percentage of the population that are born in certain ways, right? Maybe a percentage of the population that is born a sociopath or, a psychopath, something like that, right? But that percentage is a lot smaller than people think. And what ends up happening a lot of times is that people who are narcissistic are created, right? They end up coming from a place of trauma. I have worked with children and adolescents, and I did so for many years. And I saw the makings of narcissistic traits. And what I learned is a lot of times, at least all of the times from my professional experiences, those traits came out of trauma. Those traits came out of interactions, relationships, traumatic events, right? And so the first thing I want you to understand is that the narcissistic personality traits that you see come from a place of trauma. I'm not saying that you accept them. I'm not saying that you try to fix a narcissist. I'm saying that you meet the narcissist with compassion. You can also meet the narcissist with leave me alone. I won't be in a relationship with you, but you can also meet them with compassion. And the reason why I think it's important to meet the narcissistic traits with compassion is because if we don't do this, you or someone you know could be creating a narcissist right now. So instead of us spending all the time that we have talking about how horrible they are, and they do horrible things, right? We want to try to understand them so that we can not only learn from them, but hopefully learn how to not continue to create people with narcissistic traits. So that was number one. The narcissistic traits come from a place of trauma, typically because of some sort of coping. Negative coping, or dysfunctional coping, but from a place of coping. So number two, I want us to acknowledge that it is more valuable. Number two is it is more valuable to look at yourself and how you ended up with a narcissist or how you attracted a narcissist in your life, as opposed to running the list of all the horrible things a narcissist is. We all know that a person with narcissistic personality traits is hurtful, using, etc., selfish, all the things, right? But going over it over and over again about how horrible they are isn't going to help you, isn't going to teach you anything about how to be in the world so that you understand how you attracted them. So I believe that, okay, once you learn what a narcissist is and what a narcissist looks like, you must then go within to understand what about me not only attracted a narcissist to me, but allowed me to let a narcissist in my circle, right? Because anyone can attract a narcissist, but if you allow yourself to be in a relationship with a narcissist, or you ended up having a narcissist as a very close friend, yes, they have responsibility, right? Maybe they manipulated you, maybe they did some things to convince you, right? But you also have some responsibility in allowing them close to you. You don't have responsibility if they hurt you, right? I'm not saying it's your fault if they hurt you or manipulated you in a way, broke your heart and things like that. I'm saying that the lessons come after if you're able to say, okay, what in me prevented me from seeing those red flags? What prevented me from being able to protect myself and protect my heart so that I would allow them so close to me, right? Everything can't be about blame. Yes, if someone has hurt you, absolutely, and you're a victim of something, absolutely. But there's a difference between someone walking up to you on the street and hitting you over the head, right? You've been victimized. There's a difference between that and you ending up in a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship with someone who is so hurtful. Yes, that person is quote unquote wrong for what they did to you, right? But at the end of the day, you have some responsibility to protect yourself from certain things. And I hope that as you continue to research what narcissists do, that you also look within to say, hey, what can I learn from this so that I never put myself in that position again, right? And again, not saying that if a narcissist has hurt you in some way that it was your fault. This is about learning after the fact. This is about learning so that you will protect yourself in future scenarios. This is not saying that they don't have responsibility, blame in how they treated you. But we as adults, when it comes to relationships, have to have and take some responsibility and ownership in how we ended up in those relationships. So that was number 2. Take value in understanding the narcissistic traits and how you ended up there. And looking at what it says about you. And then number 3, understanding that people with narcissistic traits love a few things. These are the type of people that narcissists love to be with. People with poor boundaries, people pleasers, enablers, people who have a hard time saying no, empaths who have no boundaries, right? Narcissists look for certain types of people. And number 3 is really understanding what the narcissist is looking for and learning how to not be that. So number 2 and number 3 are closely, obviously related, but it's understanding, right, what they look for and how you might have been some of those things. And because you were some of those things, it made it a little bit easier for you to be chosen by the narcissist. So another important thing to note is that the real gag, right? The real gag in stopping allowing these narcissists to, be a part of your life is to heal yourself. It's to figure out what in you showed up in a particular way for you to even be attractive to a narcissist, right? There's one thing to meet a narcissist, and there's another thing to end up in a relationship with a narcissist or have a narcissist really close to you. And sometimes we might have a narcissistic parent, right, or a narcissistic relative, or someone that raised us that was narcissist, right, or had narcissistic traits, and therefore maybe that personality type is very familiar to us. We still have responsibility in trying to protect ourselves from that sort of personality. You don't have to be a victim to a narcissist anymore. You do not. You can learn how to not be. And these are some of the ways that you do it. Number 1, keep good boundaries. Number 2, communicate your needs and what you will not tolerate. And number 3, keep your word to yourself. Protect yourself with consequences. If a person shows up in your life and you meet that person and they are selfish from the very beginning, they are manipulative from the very beginning, I don't care what title or what name you call. You can call them a narcissist, a sociopath, you can call them mean, you can call them selfish. That's neither here nor there. We spend too much time labeling, and I'm a therapist. Trust me, I've had enough of the labels and the diagnosis, but I understand that it has value. But let's spend less time with the labeling, as I try to do, even in my practice. Less time with the labeling and more time on solutions. And the solutions for anyone trying to avoid narcissists or deal with the pain that the narcissist has caused from the past is to look within and to heal whatever has been inside of you that allowed a narcissist to be so close to you and inside your circle. So, in parting, I will say, look within and heal yourself. And go forth and shine on the world.